Welcome. In this session, we would focus on Kurukshetra October edition, which talks about nutrition and the challenges that India faces because of malnutrition. So, the very first thing that we would start with is the Rashtriya Poshan Maha, which is the basically a nationwide movement for Suposhit Bharat. Now, malnutrition is one of the major curse not only in India but globally, and we have seen a annual global loss of nearly $500 billion and a GDP loss of nearly 3.5% because of malnutrition. Now, under this development of this Rashtriya Poshan Abhiyan, there have been a series of events. The very first thing is started with IDCS, which is the Integrated Child Development Services, and this was in 1975, which was the world's largest community-based program for early childhood. Then in 2018 came up the Poshan Abhiyan, which focused on the first 1,000 days of the child's life, which determines the crucial time period for their upbringing. And the next one is 2021, which was the Mission Poshan 2.0, which focuses on Poshan Abhiyan, Anganwadi, the scheme for adolescent girls through a unified approach. Now, some of the important things that we need to understand is this Abhiyan actually takes a shape of a social and behavioral change communication engine and brings in households, community together as a part of Jan Andolan through TV, radio, street plays, digital media and community events. And then there are various annual themes which are involved in it, from 2019, which was the festive health, to 2024, which focused on technology and anemia. 2025 basically focuses on four things, which is obesity, mindful consumption of salt, sugar and oil, strengthening the early childhood care and reinforcing young and infant child feeding. Now, the next important thing that we would focus on is the first 1,000 days, which we said have been critical under the Poshan Abhiyan 2018, and this year, which is 2025, which focuses on the 8th Poshan Maha, also focuses on lifelong health, not just the first 1,000 days. So early nutrition has been very, very important, and mother's milk has been considered vital for essential nutrients, vital antibodies, growth factors and hydration. Now, there are some benefits for child as well as mother. For mother, it lowers the risk for cancer, promotes better and faster recovery, and strengthens the maternal bond. For child, it brings up better immunity, reduces the chances of stunting and wasting, lowers chances for asthma and obesity, and creates a strong emotional bond. Now, the next step is the complementary feeding, which is 6 months to 24 months, and the timeline actually introduces with soft digestible food, and then increasing the frequency of meal and nutrition and expanding the items of food. Now, the major food groups that are to be catered include cereal, grains, pulses, legumes, dairy, fruit and vegetable, and then poultry. Now, what has been important? It's not just the food or the nutrition, but the nourishing care is again equally important. So, paying attention to the child's sign for hunger or fullness, responding warmly, building trust are some of the important pillars that are associated to it. And then in the community movement, there has been Anganwadi services, awareness drives and community events, which include the Anna Prashasan Divas, again focusing on the foundational years of the child. The next is early childhood care and education. So this encompasses nutrition, education, health, care and safety, and this has been mandated under the Article 45 of the Constitution to ensure that every child is school ready, healthy, develops holistically, and nationwide we have nearly 1.4 million Anganwadi centers for bringing the early educational services. And under this integrated approach, there are again four things that are to be noted. First is play-based learning, nutrition and health, safety, and then social and emotional skills. Now, this transformation came from 2009, where we talked about right to education for preschool in the age group of 3 to 6 years, focusing then on Poshan 2.0, and then towards the Palan Bhi Padhai Bhi, which talks about creating a training program for nurturing as well as education. So under this Palan Bhi Padhai Bhi initiative, we focus on a national institute, NIPCCD, which masters and trains the experts, and these experts then train the nearly 1.4 million Anganwadi workers across India, and they engage in activities like toy workshops, recipe demonstrations, non-cooking recipes, home visit by the workers to the families, and then creating instances for parents teacher meet for better communication and better development of child. So it talks about campaigns like Poshan Maha, Poshan Pakhwada, and these involves families in various ways. Now, when we talk about Developed India by 2047, we aim to bring in a skilled and empowered generation with holistic development and a strong early childhood development, right? The next is nutrition literacy. Now, if we focus on the existing diet chart of an Indian family, we would see that traditional home cooked food accounts for only 1/3 of the proportion, and 2/3 of the proportion goes to processed and packed foods. Now, under the Poshan mission or the Poshan Maha Abhiyan, as we said, our idea is to engage the community, bring in parents, teachers and health workers together, create Jan Andolan or Poshan Pakhwada or Poshan Maha, which is biannually in March and September, targeting on obesity and dietary habits. So some of the important factors that contribute to the lifestyle diseases include high consumption of processed food, sedentary lifestyle, low physical activity, increased screen time and irregular sleep patterns, and these have a significant impact onto the well-being of an individual in the form of chronic diseases like diabetes, heart diseases, cancers, mental well-being, which affects the academic performance, emotional stability and self-esteem, economic burden, which brings in financial restraint, and intergenerational cycle where children of the obese parents are more likely to face the same issue of obesity. So the path to wellness includes a fourfold thing, which includes minimum 60 minutes of activity or yoga or walking, a balanced diet which mainly includes home cooked food with less oil, reading the food labels to make informed choices, and maintain low amount of packed food, and then more importantly having a regular consistent sleep schedule. So Sahi Poshan Desh Roshan is another important idea that has been embarked under this scheme. The next is focusing on the roots, that is the tribal groups and the Adivasi children, and the main concern here is the tribal children under 5 years who are stunted accounts for 48%, which is a very, very high figure compared to non-tribal population. So focusing on to the indigenous population and the dietary shift that has occurred is really important, because traditional consumption that they used to do included millets, foraged foods, wild animals and cultivated greens. However, with the current composition, it is predominantly marked by subsidized grains, by cereals by the government, followed by packed food, potatoes, and then a very small amount of traditional food. And this is one of the reasons that has led to loss of essential nutrients and even the ecological knowledge that indigenous tribal people used to conserve and promoted through the generations. So this cycle of disadvantage has been created due to numerous reasons. One is the climate change and deforestation, weak land and forest rights, and creating ultimately a nutritional insecurity in the children with less diverse processed ration foods, which leads to higher amount of malnutrition. Now, once the malnutrition is there, it is widespread among women and children, and we can see that nearly 2/3 of the population lacks iron and essential amino acids, which can be obtained if diverse food sources are included in the diet, which the traditional tribal people used to do. And also, this compounds to health risk like sickle cell anemia, tuberculosis, which has been one of the major burdens. So again, even for the tribal population, first 1,000 days become very important up to the age critically for 2 years, bringing in participatory learning and action model, and then strengthening their forest rights, reviving the traditional food, the consumption of millet, white food, and also focusing on climate resilience with nutrition sensitive agriculture, which shifts from high yield cereals to diversity of food intake, which promotes intake of micronutrients and biofortified crops. For example, rice, which is biofortified, has nearly 10 to 13% higher protein, and this improves the ultimate outcome. The next is, when we talk about the nutrition sensitive agriculture, there is a paradox of plenty. Now, despite the global agricultural powerhouse, India has significant nutritional challenges, and this nutrition sensitive agriculture creates or we could say creates a bridge between the gap between the production of the food and the public health. So more than 600 million people in rural agrarian areas with more than 220 million tons of cereals being produced annually, still we have major challenges, which is a national undernutrition, which accounts for nearly 15% of the population, rural poverty, which accounts for nearly 30%, and nearly 13% own less than 13% of the farmland. So there the women own less than 13% of the farmland. So there has been three critical things that have to be addressed under the nutrition sensitive agriculture, and the pillars of nutrition sensitive agriculture actually focuses on biofortification, women empowerment, crop diversification, and homestead gardens. And then this would reduce the stunting rates in children. We have seen good results in Kerala, and then expanding the reach of initiatives where seed pack distribution, women in livestock, and fortified meals would be better brought into. And then if we focus on to the national impact by 2030, we would see a significant reduction in stunting, and the child deaths which could be prevented could be somewhere around 1 million, and then annual saving of nearly $11 billion. So the major focus is maintaining dietary diversity and bridging the gap. The next is nourishing families together. So here we focus on transformative shift of families to nutrition and caregiving. So 45% increase in parental involvement in child nutrition has been seen in the pilot areas where the project has been taken into consideration, and this has brought in a significant cultural revolution, because with low parental involvement and high parental involvement, the two graphs you can see simultaneously, we have better child's nutrition outcome, better cognitive development, reduced maternal stress, and better family bonds. So if the parents' involvement is higher with child, it creates a stronger, healthier family unit. Now, under the family role, the roles are assigned for father, mother separately. So under the father's role, it is the prenatal care, which is the support for the mother, postnatal and newborn care, then the early childhood care where nutritious meals are ensured, safe water supply is ensured, and then education and stimulation, where beyond nutrition the idea is to create an engaging environment for creative activities, for reading, for education, and managing the screen time. So overcoming the hurdles actually focuses on Firstly, promoting better societal norms and perception, reducing the training, focusing on family rules and family role in the upbringing of the child. And then if we focus on this chart, it talks about the impact score of the various things. So if we focus on media campaigns, it has a really high impact score, followed by government programs, followed by international NGOs, then community initiatives, and the lowest by the self-help groups. But still, all of them encourage and sustain involvement of father into the role of child development. So building strengther and stronger families is a responsibility of both the parents, encouraging better bonding and providing grounds for social and emotional foundations. The next is the digital transformation in healthcare. Now, rural India actually has a major issue with health as well as nutrition. So malnutrition weakens the immunity, reduces the working hours, increases the morbidity rate in child as well as mother. So a new series of digital health revolution has been seen, which includes the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, where India's seamless connection of the health data has taken place for every citizen. Then the major components of Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission includes maintaining the health registries, which are unified directories, the Aabha IDs, and the unified health interface, with key areas of impact, which shows a significant increase in telemedicine consultation growth, focusing on maternal and child health outcomes, where we see that girls at the risk of anemia, if they receive timely care by Poshan Tracker, the chances for anemia are significantly reduced, and 25% improvement in anemia rates have been seen in Odisha simply via telenutrition services. So these digital initiatives definitely provide better way for good health. And if we talk about the digital divide, we can say nearly 38% is connected, and however the remaining 62% actually has low internet connectivity. Beyond the adoption, there are various things which includes improper training of the personals, data privacy concerns, fragmented platforms, and AI biasness, and all these are the barriers that have to be reduced at the ground level. So bringing in inclusive training, public-private partnership, and data integration are some of the important things that have to be taken into account under the digital initiatives. And then the last topic for today talks about the fishery cooperatives. So under the fishery cooperatives, 5 million members nationwide are part of it, and it talks about bringing and bridging the fishery community. So from 2013 to the recent years, we have seen a significant growth in the sector with rise in domestic fish consumption. And also if we talk about the national GDP, fishery contributes to nearly 1% of the nation's GDP. Now if we talk about the advantage, it would bring in stability for livelihood, better improvement in fishery management, economic opportunities, and technology programs can bring in better successes. So structure for success includes a chart from state level to district level to primary cooperatives, where at local level supporting the fishermen is really important, and then navigating through the climate change, where ocean warming, ocean acidification, reduced oxygen levels, and altered hydrogeological cycles are the major challenges. And some of the best solutions include ecosystem based management, sustained fishery practices, and community led conservation, with very good beneficiary projects, infrastructural development, and capacity building on the key pillars of the schemes which have been released, like fish co-fed by the government. And some of the major way forward includes building a better infrastructure, better organized market scheme, bringing in digital adoption with use of technology for logistics, information, and better transactions, and creating a policy support for supportive regulatory frameworks. So those are some of the key pillars that we have understood under fishery cooperatives. This edition mainly focused on nutrition, the challenges related to nutrition, India's scheme during the time of independence and recent ones. So ICDS 2, the Poshan Maha Abhiyan are some of the important ones that we have covered throughout this lecture, and focusing mainly on the first 1000 days of the child's life, which are the critical years or the formative years to tackle the nutritional deficiencies. We would be covering Yojana and Kurukshetra on a regular basis. So stay tuned, stay subscribed. Have a wonderful day ahead.